seconds are really long.
You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, folks! Welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast, Thursday night live call-in show. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob. I'm Wayne.
I'm Mike.
And tonight is your night. It's about how you game. Thursday night live call-in. We're going right into the phone lines. We will open those bad boys up.
Too early.
What?
Whoa, too
We
soon.
didn't.
Crazy.
Why aren't I notified about these things?
Right?
Changes?
Last minute thing, you know.
Did you expect them?
But he's not really going to open the phone line. He's just going to say it and just leave it closed.
And then forget.
Forget. Or
Until somebody
put on
comments.
the call blocker. Yeah.
I hit the turned off, do not disturb.
There you
Phone
go.
lines are open,
That's good.
813-618-7099.
I need to screen the calls a little this week.
Oh, man. We had... Last week, I apologized to all. I did get to figure out how to edit.
Oh, you
Yeah.
edited it. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We had the guys from the Board Game Rundown, not podcast, just Board Game Rundown. It's a show on YouTube.
And they were just cursing everywhere.
Jeez, they gave us some bad juju on the prank callers that week.
They
That's
brought
bad.
the riffraff in.
Unlucky week. Yeah, it happens.
But I did learn how to edit live shows in the YouTube,
Which is cool.
so when you go watch it from the live channel or playlist, that section's gone. So I cleaned up those words.
We'll do it live.
Good man.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm learning. So
That's cool.
to the prankster that decided to call in and joke with me, thank you. You taught me a lot.
You're rejected. And if you're gonna, if you're gonna prank call these days, like we've had the one that was actually legitimate. Like we didn't know if it was fake call, and then it spun into a bit of a prank. That's happened. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just if you're gonna be a nutcase from the beginning.
Be one of those
man.
guys.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right, so this Thursday night call-in show last week, we were successful. We had a lot of calls last week.
Yeah, it was
we
good.
talked to a good handful of people, and so as typical for Thursday night, we will probably just talk about some general things. I know Wayne's got some news he wants to talk about in the industry. We'll talk about some games that we played.
And a grind my gears segment.
Oh yeah, he's got a grind grains gears this week, so we got one of those in there.
Wayne's rant. Wayne's rant. Wayne's rant.
Well,
Otherwise,
it fits from last week's show, right?
say otherwise. You take over the show. You call in anything you want to talk about. Anything geeky goodness doesn't have to be board game related, but anything we'll talk probably a little bit about shows we've been watching, books we've been reading, whatever. So
All right. So I in my what I have here in my formerly Oreo stained fingers news article from Dicebreaker. This was interesting to me. This article because I printed it out, like I followed it the moment I saw the announcement for it. And then when I went and did some additional research on it, what I found out was like the meta of the blow up within the conservative news sphere on this one. It was hilarious, right? So the article is Co-op Scrabble, more accessible version for players intimidated by the classic game. That's the title by Dicebreaker. So this is an announcement from the makers of Scrabble. They are making a Scrabble game that includes a co-op version, which is going to have these like missions that you'll have as a team, as team players, where you're going to want to play certain types of words, so like words that have two consonants that are the same in this section to score that goal. So you're trying to like it kind of yes, it sounds awesome. Like it like leads you in certain directions to playing Scrabble. It's just not like a regular basic Scrabble game. But then part of the conversation about this game includes how they say it's for people who aren't wanting to play games that are as adversarial, right? They're trying to sell that co-op piece of it, right?
Yeah.
And then also they cleaned up some of the words, so they've taken out some slurs and words that used to be allowed, even though they were like allowed in the.
If it's in the dictionary, it's
Well, they made some changes to that.
Okay.
Like these words are no longer allowed.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
So I'm seeing these like as I search for it, I'm starting to find all these headlines like on the 5 on Fox News
Scrabble's
and
gone woke.
right, yes, and there's other like conservative sites. They're like Scrabble's gone woke, and I'm like,
So
listen.
Bottom line, I
Really?
hate playing Scrabble.
Right.
I hate playing Scrabble because I'll say this, I have a very good vocabulary, but I can't spell for anything. Like I am bad at spelling. Spell check was the greatest invention of my professional career. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I fully admit it. Like I had vision problems, dyslexia as a kid, so I just don't do good at that stuff. So I like Scrabble, I like the idea of Scrabble, but I could come up with the crazy words, but don't ask me how to spell it.
Yeah.
Like
And that's what really stood out for me. That's why when I first saw it earlier this week, the announcement, I'm like, sweet, because I have that problem with Scrabble too, with word games in general. I know that we tried to play, was it the librarian game? What was that?
What was that? Yeah, garbage.
Fiction.
Fiction.
Garbage.
Yeah.
I said garbage.
Burn that game.
I really struggled with that
Yeah,
game. Like
yeah.
like coming up with words is hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that they went co-op really makes me interested in the Scrabble version.
Yeah. It's a different twist on
in
it.
reality, like in your copy of Scrabble, you can allow any word you want, but any official like Scrabble competition, hey, like maybe people don't want to see certain words
Certain
written
words.
out,
Well, here's an excerpt from the Dicebreaker article. It says the board contains spaces that correspond to a set of goal cards that players can use to inject more direction and guidance into their games. The goal cards provide challenges for players to complete, including playing a word containing two of the same consonant or playing a word that contains at least two different vowels. Along the bottom of these cards are tips to help players complete their goal. The first player to complete 20 challenges is named the winner, whilst you can tell they're
Whilst.
whilst from the UK, while I'll fix it for him, while any player that uses up all their help cards and cannot complete a goal loses. So it's kind of taking away
cool. I like it.
I don't know where all the hubbub comes from.
People are going to be offended about anything these
But
days.
here's the cool part.
I like Pablo's comment though. He's
What
right.
Pablo say?
He hit it right on the head.
To me, Scrabble for people that hate spelling or get stressed is just Quirkle.
I love Quirkle. I like Quirkle.
The cool part was though on the 5, Dana. Like I said, I watched the segment. Dana Perino, former press secretary, she did bring up some facts which were really cool. She's like, "Hey, listen, guys. At the end of the day, board games are up 7%. Like
yeah.
people are wanting board games. They want connection.
Yeah.
So like, although there was some hubbub that got this version of Scrabble into the mainstream media, it also brought any press is good press, and it brought it to the conversation, and it ended off on a positive note.
Okay.
So that's a piece of news bit this week that kind of stood out for me.
Mike, Rob, what do you guys think about Scrabble in general?
Take it or leave it. I mean, I'm pretty decent at spelling, pretty decent vocabulary. I've been good at Scrabble, but Scrabble just doesn't interest me much as a game.
I mean, for me, I really only play with my sister-in-law anytime I go down to Florida. It's really like the one game that we always play. It's like a tradition almost. She whoops my ass every single time. But, I mean, it's all right. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, like with the objectives and they're kind of gamifying it even more than what it is. So
Like that. And like there was like Words with Friends was like a big online game that you could play. And it was like Scrabble, but it was like smaller words or it had different scoring things. Like anytime you take an older game and iterate on it to make it more entertaining for modern audiences, what's wrong with that?
Yeah,
right?
the co-op twist makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like competitive, but I like co-op. So yeah.
Team play and co-op play.
Okay.
So it's going to have those options. I think it's going to be a hit. I think for families like yours, Mike, where you will play it, I think this is the kind of game where, you know what, let me bring this version to kind of get a change. They already know how to play. They're good at it. Let's try a different variant.
There's always that one person in your family that's like amazing at this game, at Scrabble, or like amazing at Pictionary, or like I remember we had a Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, right? And none of my family would play it with me, right? Because it was my turn and the game ended because I would just go and till it was over, right? I probably forgot it all, but especially games like that where one person with a good skill set for that game is just going to dominate. Being able to play it co-op or as a team or whatever, that allows it to be balanced.
Balance it out a little bit. Yeah.
So.
What was the other one they announced recently? Was it Scrabble Monopoly or something? I know Tom in the Dice Tower was talking about it. They played or looked at a copy of it, and
they said it was horrible though.
Yeah, it was horrible.
didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep. So more often than not, those are misses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't be winners. Can't all be winners.
Yeah.
Can't all be winners.
Mike, any updates, any topics, any games recently played you want to share from the West Coast?
I actually played 3 games over the weekend. 3 plays of each. Also, I think I posted this in the Discord though. Played Hanama Koji, Sail, and No Thanks. Sail was a new. Well, yeah, Sail was the new one in that list. So it's a 2-player trick taker co-op, and you're basically trying to navigate this boat from where you start through treacherous terrain and making it past storms, and you're trying to get to the end an X number of rounds. I think it's 5 rounds. Man, is it? It's challenging, man.
Wow.
Like I was playing with my son, and it took us 3 times to get through the introductory level, and the introductory level was like not even half of the full length of the board. And we failed it 2 times, and we're just like, what the heck are we doing wrong here? Like you really have to be almost like a mind meld with the other person, because even though in between rounds you can discuss things, but as soon as the round starts, you are not able to talk with each other. So yeah, but it was pretty cool.
Cool. And I know you're trying to navigate the boat across the board. What dictates the direction the boat goes?
So there's other than the numbers, for like the
Right.
trick taking part of it, and there's 3 suits. There are symbols that are next to the number. So typically, if one or the other person wins the trick, the boat, because it's like diamond-shaped boards, like
Right.
spaces on the board. So if you win the trick, the boat will move forward, but in your direction. And if the other person wins the trick, move forward in their direction. Or if you get like 2 of the same symbols, which I think are like the mermaid tails, your boat will actually go straight. But then there's this whole Kraken portion of it where you're trying to add cards to the Kraken deck, because at the end of every round, the Kraken is attacking your boat X number of times wherever your boat is on that tracker. And there's like, things that stick out of the water and Kraken tails, and, you set up the board, like they have scenarios that you set up on the board as, before you start. But
Right.
that's what dictates it. And the thing is the round, each person can only win 4 tricks, because as soon as you win the 4th trick, the round ends. So you have to balance, like, okay, well, you're starting, you've got 3, and we got to keep moving forward. So I got to start winning these tricks, so you kind of have to throw your hand a little bit. But it's pretty neat. I definitely liked it. It's one of the more involved trick takers, I guess you could say, but it was definitely I would recommend it. I mean, if you like trick takers, you would probably like this one, most likely.
Nice. I think we got a caller.
Coming in from Louisiana, my man Connor. Say hello, Connor.
Hey,
Hello,
Hey,
Connor.
how's it going?
What's going on, sir? Show is yours.
oh man, it's been a while since I've been on here, but recently, if you're following me on Facebook or seeing in the group, I've finally been trying to compete with Jeremy in terms of posting a lot
Oh, yeah.
and showing about what's going on.
Appreciate it.
Recently, thankfully with Board Game Gumbo's BJ donating a bunch of his old games to me to help out teachers in need with their board gaming habits.
Because
we've been playing a
the
lot,
salary
and
is not going to be enough to maintain
the
those
salaries,
levels
yeah,
of habits.
They don't exactly. They don't pay us enough, so you got to get them where you can.
Sure.
And man, BJ's got a lot of like decent games that didn't think would exist. And I would go on BGG, and the scores would be like 7 point whatever, 6 point whatever, but it would actually be a pretty solid game. So, kind of one thing that I've been wanting to ask y'all, and just ask just in general, at what rating do you think BGG gives that would actually constitute like a mediocre to not a good game?
See, that's hard to call.
Yeah, that's a different question I thought you were going to ask. I thought you were going to ask, at what point do I really want to play a game? And I have the answer for that. If it hits 8, if it's an 8 or higher, then I consider it's a game that I definitely am going to open my eyes and take a look. And
I
wanna
would
play.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think 7.5 or higher. I would be like, I would want to play it.
Wayne's got low standards.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I'm more loose than that.
I know. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think, so my comment there is I know I have games in my collection that I love to play that have like a 4 rating on BGG, right? Or
What?
2. I guarantee you I can go through my, so I
Have you
3
seen his games?
A 4
They're
rating?
ugly.
Yes, easily.
A
I'm
4.
sure. I bet you I have 400 or 500 board games, so I bet you I have a game in there that's a 2 or 3 or 4 rating that
Oh.
is a game that I enjoy playing. So is it a good game? Maybe not, but isn't it a game I enjoy playing? So there may be a difference there. Like a game that I enjoy to play versus a good game. There can be a difference there. But But I also think there was a talk about how many ratings there are, right? So if there's under 1,000 ratings,
skewed.
Is it skewed one way or the other? This kind of thing. So, but I think anything above a 6 is probably a good game, right? Anything above a 7, 8 is like a really good game. But I definitely have games in my collection that are below a 5 that I still own and play.
I have a lot of war games, so I'm gonna agree with that statement.
They don't rank so well. They don't rank.
Wayne's got lowered expectations. I will say I'm right about that line with you. So Rob, anything 8 or above, okay, I'm willing to play.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean that, like anything, like anything 8 or above, unless it's got like 10 ratings, and I know it's
skewed.
But
Yeah,
somebody's
it's very
pumped up the
skewed.
rating or down. Yeah.
But if it's a theme or a designer or a mechanism that I enjoy, I think I will go down to as low as 7.
Yeah.
Right, 7.0. Like 7.0. So, for example, I'm asking myself, commissioned, the 2015 game, cooperative, and it's a 7, I think a 7.2, 7.3. And I'm like, man, they got some used copies out there. It's right about that line of, because it's a theme I would like to try, a game I would like to, that it seems like I would enjoy. Even though it's got a 7, I would play it. But then there are games that are in the 7s that just has no interest in the theme for me, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away from that. So 7 is my line if I like something about you. If you're just any old, Euro game, you need to be at 8 or above for me to even look at you.
Mike?
I'm almost where Carlos is at, actually. Typically, if I hear about a new game and I go on BGG and look it up, as long as it has enough reviews, like you guys said, if I only see like 20 reviews, I'm really not going to go off of their rating system. But for me to even like kind of to pique my interest, it's got to be like a 7.2, a 7.3, somewhere in there. If it's a game that a lot of people rave about, that I kind of align with, like like Z Garcia and myself, we kind of, I know what he likes and I think we're on the same page. If he mentions a game and it happens to be like a 6.8 or a 6.9, I'll still be kind of interested in it. Like, all right, well, maybe I'll give that a try. But like Carlos said, and I think everybody else at the table over there, if it's an 8 or above, like, it's going on my wish list. I don't even know what the hell the game is, but it's going to go on my wish list.
Never heard of it, but it's an 8.
I think also that you have like kids games that tend to be lower rated. So
True.
I'm at a point now where I'm playing a lot of kids games, and then I've been collecting games for 24 years. So there are definitely games from the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s that I still love the game because of nostalgia, but I understand that it's not in modern standards, it's got a 4 or 5 rating. So like I say, I don't have a ton of games like that, but like I know I have some games that are sub 5 that I'm like, I like this game, I don't care.
I want to get back to Connor in a second, but I got to add one more point though. I specifically remember being in Barnes & Noble and seeing a game that I didn't know anything about. Barnes & Noble for the most part carries some pretty quality titles. They carry some top end stuff. And so I'm in there, I see a game I don't know anything about. I'm talking to my daughter about it. She's like, hey, what's this? It looks kind of interesting. I pull it up on the BGG. It's like it was a sub 6. It was a 5 something. And I was like, nope, right back on the shelf. So I think that around 6 is probably, to answer your question, kind of for me, if a game's below a 6, it probably doesn't matter much to me. It's going back. And
I kind of feel that way like at the Christmas gift exchange. Like
there were a lot of sub 6s at that.
Right. They're going to be like last picks or maybe pick up. All right, Connors, what have you found where you aligned?
So what I've noticed, and the reason why I asked to begin with is obviously because of the BJ's like big donation bin that I keep referencing. Like games like Top Pop. Recently, like I just posted today about a game called Shifting Realms.
Yep.
I was like going through my thing. Drop Drive was another one. So Drop Drive was interesting because that one's got, so at least the copy that I inherited had like what I think is every expansion that exists, and it's a bunch of smaller ones, but like on BGG it's only like 7 point whatever, whereas like just the base game by itself I think is easily a solid 8 or whatever, and obviously everybody's got their own opinions, but I've always wondered why people rate games a certain way. What I've tended to notice, and I don't know if it's just because of the fact that I like cheaper games because it's what I can afford. But there's a lot of like really good hidden gems of cheap games that are like retail price cheap that are actually really good and could probably just get expanded on to get to those like 8.0 or higher scores.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just like people don't give games enough of a chance, or if they're critical, or whatever the case is.
So I think it's also a skew too, right? So like you have a 1 to 10, and like if a game is a good game, right? It's a good game. Is that a 5, right? Or like if say most people say no, so really then the scale is skewed to the higher end, right? So all games get pushed up a little higher, where a good game is a 6, 7. So a great game is an 8, and an amazing game is a 9. So really then a 5 becomes a bad game or not a bad game, right? And so I wonder, part of it is that, right? I may do what you did there with the Barnes & Noble thing and look at it, it's just, I'm not buying that, right? But if I get it for free or if I get it as a swap, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think there's a difference between if you're buying a game or getting it as a swap. But then I don't trust a lot of the BGG ratings because some things just get a hype train and then just take off, and some things get just kind of left behind because there's thousands of games that come out a year, and a lot of them, if it doesn't have 400 or 500 reviews, I'm not going to look at that rating very closely.
That's something I need to do a better job at, to be honest. I don't know that I've ever gone and looked to see how many reviews. I just pull it up. I look at the big number that's printed on the BGG front page, and I'm oblivious to whether that's been 10 reviews or 10,000 reviews. It's just I see the 5.2. Nope, back on the shelf. Yeah. So I'm bad with that.
Because a 5 is in BGG world is take it or leave it.
Yeah.
A 6 and this is the ranking system and the help by BGG says okay. A 6 is okay. We'll play it if in the mood. 7 is where it says good.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where I align myself to. Okay, it's a good game. So if it's a
agree
good
with that.
game with a theme that I like, with a designer I like, with a mechanism that I like,
Willing to do it.
welcome to the family. Yeah. Join the fold. I got space for you somewhere. I'll find some space.
Down to that chair over there.
And
I like what
8
Pablo
or
said
9
there.
is when I'm like, even if I don't like like Brass was one where I was like, I'm going to give this a try because it's rated so high. Like there's nothing about this game that's interested me. Same with Castles of Burgundy, thanks to you, Wayne. Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Concordia, Castle Burgundy.
Right, I'll give it a
Brass.
shot. Everybody gave it like an 8. I'll give it a shot. Well, dang, they were right.
Yeah.
Carlos is running the chat, so he's going to need to pull it up. But Wayne doesn't have a computer here tonight, so
I didn't bring it up.
yeah, he's in studio. So he said some Pablo's got some comments there.
Paulo says, I keep games people gift me that are 3s to 5s, and I only play them with those friends.
Oh. Okay, I see what you're saying. You got to keep them just because. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Chester says, that's right, Pablo. It's not the game, it's the friend.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. BJ from Board Game Gumbo will only ever play the games he gave to Connor if Connor wants to play them.
There you go.
I just think it's awesome. BJ, I'm sure BJ's got a fairly large
I'm
collection. My guess is like triple digit maybe, but it's good to give games away. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
Connor.
yeah.
That sparked up a
Definitely-
good conversation. What else you got for the
definitely
folks?
give your games- Oh, it was just one last, like, pretty much just a message for everybody out there. One, get you somebody in your life that plays board games with you, because I have that person now.
Good.
And that's, Laney. He's
Laney.
been playing the games with me.
Yeah.
Really
I've
awesome.
seen all the pictures. Yeah.
Wait.
And then
Hold
second
on.
thing,
Facebook.
give your
Facebook.
board games to teachers.
As a friend.
Facebook.
Friends?
Huh?
Friends?
No. Yeah.
Me and Laney are dating. I mean, in general, get your friends. But I have a girlfriend.
Dude, you're so far behind. Get back on
Listen,
Facebook.
I'm not on the Facebooks. I'm not on the internets and the Facebooks. Congratulations, sir.
You gotta like chisel it
I
in
appreciate
a
it.
tablet for Carlos.
He's been posting up on
got the air
our site.
horns. Let's go.
Yeah, that's great right there. It really does. I mean, not everyone can do that, but having a significant other that can play some games with you, that's great.
And I saw y'all
Makes it
merge some of
really
your
easy.
collection.
And
I
then-
saw the new storage system that you set up there.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Got a whole shelf unit in our house now, so it's nice. It's motivated us to get back to playing board games regularly, because we've just been playing D&D the whole time, and now we're back to just regular board games.
I see nothing wrong with any of that.
Oh.
Like, none of that sounded
there's
wrong.
Definitely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely, if you've got board games, donate them to your teachers. They're broke. We need them.
Cool.
Much
do that.
appreciated. We always appreciate
Thank you,
Louisiana
guys.
representing.
Appreciate it.
We gotta get that BJ guy
Always.
on here again sometime too.
All right,
Thanks for
Connor.
calling, Connor.
Thank you.
Our
Appreciate
best to
that.
Laney, too. Take
Yeah.
care.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Phone lines
Yeah.
are back open. 813-618-7099.
I'll say that I'm like you though, Rob. Until recently, I didn't drill into that number, and then there was the guy that did the YouTube thing on the very he did. I forget the guy who did the YouTube video on the ranking system a couple of weeks back.
Was that Shelfside?
Maybe Asian guy.
Yeah,
Asian
Shelfside.
ranking.
Yeah,
Out of California.
Shelfside.
And then
Chris
Yee did a thing
Player
on
count?
player count.
That
and
was a good video.
I like that video too. He's an accountant, so he's all
that was a
into
good video.
statistical analysis. And
the
stuff.
other guys wasn't.
No, they were both good, but that was
a good video.
that was not. That was a small, that is a very small data point in the BGG world,
Right. It's a
And
good
I was
one.
glad to see him highlight it the way he did.
Yep. So I think
That's what I mean, Robert.
So the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I've probably gotten better at drilling in. Okay, well, how many reviews? How many people have ranked this? How many people have said what the player count is?
And the big question or the big topic there, I guess, where that all comes from, obviously, is why does it matter? Why do we care about the ratings? Because there's so damn many games, and you just gotta
You don't have
find some
time.
way. You gotta find some way, to try to filter some kind of filter on what what should be played, not what needs to be played. Everything needs to be played. Everything needs to be loved. But I mean, we've got to pick those games that are worth our time. So yeah. Anyway,
So Hanamakoji, Mike.
Hanamakoji,
Such a great
Yeah,
game.
man,
that's an
love
awesome
that game.
So good.
I have Rob to thank for that one.
I've taught that to so many people. You, Dan, Jim, so many people I've introduced to that game. But that's one of my all-time favorite two-player games. And me and Dan played it at the airport in Louisiana. We pulled it out. Just one of us was sitting on a railing, the other one was sitting on the arm of a chair, and we're just playing on a little tiny space right in between the two of us, just enough room to set up that little row of cards. And we reset it and played it over and over and over while we were waiting for the plane.
Because even amongst two-player games, it's got a really small box too. Like,
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
really portable game.
Yep.
So
For sure.
love it.
Great one.
I got an article here in my formerly Oreo stained fingers that talks about the award, the American Tabletop Award, and this is another great way for folks to kind of suss out or figure out what are some good games. I'm not as familiar with this award. This award has been out. Dicebreaker talks about it being out in its 7th year. It's supposed to be one of the largest, or how do they say it? I'll let them say it.
7 years.
Yes, it is the ATA in its 6th year
6 years.
is the biggest Spiel des Jahres
Spiel des Jahres?
equivalent on the western side of the Atlantic, crowned Thunder Road Vendetta, the White Castle, Sea Salt and Paper, and Blob Party as winners in their 4 distinctive categories.
Okay.
So the way this award program works, so it's like our Americanized version of, say it, Robert.
Spiel des Jahres?
Thank you. They have 4 categories. The categories are early games, casual games, strategy games, and complex games.
Where's the Euros?
America.
Complex.
America.
Complex would be there.
Okay.
It's just America.
Just those 4 titles.
So
I didn't
Blob
hear
Party
Euro.
was their super easy one.
Right here on the title, Rob.
Thunder Road.
American Tabletop Award.
So Blob Party was the super easy one, right?
So for Restoration's Thunder Road Vendetta, it won in the
That's
strategy.
strategy.
Which
I thought it would have won in the
This
long and
award's
slow
already
game
defunct.
category.
This word means nothing. Yeah.
that one stood out to me.
Strategy.
So the American award for strategy goes to Vendetta's Thunder Road Vendetta.
I mean, I guess it's American strategy: get drunk and crash into things.
Chaos, yeah.
Chaos.
Where's Dan? It beat out Daybreak and the Fox Experiment, so it had some pretty tough competition there. Elizabeth Hargrave
Category.
Yeah, that's not even
and
the same
Matt Lee
category.
card. Strategy.
That's
Strategy.
not strategy.
okay.
But okay.
But Daybreak and Fox Experiment.
But those
strategy?
two are.
Yeah,
Vendetta,
Daybreak.
They were in the
Vendetta.
strategy
Yeah,
category.
Yeah, those were
Thunder
those
Road
were-
Vendetta
Those
won.
should have been there. Yeah.
All right, in the complex category.
Okay.
So in the complex category, the winner was Divier Games, The White Castle.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where you're going to find your crunchy Euro games, as the article calls it. Crunchy Euro
Does it say
game.
that in there?
It's
Okay.
going to be in the complex game strategy.
All right. Yeah.
It said it beat Board and Dice's Nucleum.
Oh,
And
Jim loves that
the
game.
latest title, Inside Up, Earth, were both also in the nominations for the complex games. But the winner was The White Castle.
I'm just glad Earth didn't win, but okay.
In the casual game section, Sea Salt and I got to give Earth another try. I've given it one try. I need to try it again. In the casual category, Sea Salt and Paper won. Panda's Horse's Sea Salt and Paper.
Good one.
It beat out Dorf Romantic.
Rope Antique. Yeah.
Yep, the board game and Next Station Tokyo from Blue Orange Games. for that
I
award.
agree with that one.
Yeah.
But I think both of them were nominated for Spiel des Jahres, it says. And then in the final category, the early game category, which focuses on board games and analog titles marketed at a decidedly younger audience, Blob Party won. I've never heard of Blob Party. Not familiar with it.
Cool.
Nope.
There's something. So basic premise is everyone gets like a little piece of Play-Doh,
Oh, this is where you squish them.
and you put a little eyes on it, and then as you play, they kind of get squished and make it better.
Yeah, it says
to become
it's
part
a
of all
group word game published by WizKids.
Yep.
Doles out single word clues to each player that they must use to combine with other players via collaborative guesses, eventually forming one massive organism. It fended off would-be winners in the form of the excellent dice roller Chicken and Flat Out Games Deep Dive. So that is the award winners for the American Tabletop Awards, the ATA.
What association is doing it? Like is it? It's not Gamma. It's not Dice Tower. It's not Gen Con.
Who votes on it?
Like,
Who is the ATA?
Yeah, who is the ATA?
ATA.
In our next episode,
We'll learn
Wayne
who the
goes
ATA
deep
is.
undercover
Into the ATA.
into the ATA. Phone lines open 813-618-7099 is the number. We're talking board games. Hopefully you are too. Wayne, we taught you a new game today. It's an older one.
Yeah.
2009,
Yeah.
if I'm right. I haven't looked at a BGG
Dice
for
Town, right? Dice Town.
Dice
Gosh, I
Town.
don't know.
Dice
Dice
Town.
Town. I don't know when that.
What year was Dice Town?
Good game. I like it. It was
Well,
fun.
see, here's the cool part. Wayne brought a game by Bruno
Bruno Cathala.
Okay, English is not my first language.
Cathala.
And Wayne's like, hey, let's give this one a try. And then Rob's like, ooh, Bruno Cathala, let's play Dice Town. So instead,
Derailed.
Well, we wanted to play 5 Tribes, and then we filmed something before the show, and one of the games we highlighted was that. And I'm like, oh, I've never played it. It's like, oh, you've never played it. Let's play it.
You gotta play it. You gotta learn this.
so we
I honestly thought I was
immediately
losing.
put Dice Town on top of 5 Tribes and played Dice Town.
Yeah.
And hold on. And Wayne complained that he was losing the whole
I didn't
time.
complain.
Oh,
No,
no, I don't want to hear it.
I did not complain. I was
I don't want to hear it, Wayne. I don't want to hear
complain.
it. Listen,
I did not complain.
you were sassy. Like,
You mentioned several times.
No,
that-
I will
way.
tell you,
that you were losing.
when Wayne won the sheriff card,
Carlos has got this.
when
Carlos
Wayne
is
had the
killing us.
sheriff card, and I took it from him, it was a flick of the wrist, like take your damn card, like it would just fly over to my side of the table.
Exaggeration. I pointed out multiple times during the game that Carlos was winning and
Okay.
that you and I were not, and I was probably in last, right? And that was the case until the last 2 rounds when I stole 14 points from
Okay.
Carlos.
All right.
Because you would have won the game.
I'm glad you won instead of Carlos.
Yeah, final score, Wayne wins.
Yes.
What'd you think of 2009 Classic?
It was fun. That was a good one. You guys taught me an old game for once.
Yeah.
And it was a quick teach.
Carlos taught me years and years
Yeah.
ago, and I played it at a couple different dice towers and here and there.
But I didn't realize that mine was like the first edition, and it had a horrible translation.
It was definitely
Horrible,
like
yeah.
early Google
Misspell,
Translate from
bad
Italian
grammar.
into.
Yeah, it was bad.
In
No,
Dice Town, it's a dice game where you're going to have a cup, and you're going to have 5 dice. They're poker dice. I love poker dice.
Carlos has got to mention the cup too. I mean, that he.
It's a nice loud
Yeah.
plastic cup. It's like
the top of
like
a
you
bullet.
shake and it gets loud. And you're going to slam this cup down. And you're going to look at your poker dice, and what you're going to do is you're going to select to keep one of those poker dice, or you may choose
Wait, the camera.
to keep more poker dice. I talk to you guys.
to the camera.
Make love to the camera. So you can choose to keep 1 die. It's free, or you can pay $1 to keep an additional die up to the 5 dice that you have there, or you can pay $1 to keep no dice. So then at a certain point, people are going to have selected 5 dice to keep, and that's going to make a poker hand. We're then going to, after everyone's had their poker hands created, you're going to run down through Dice Town to all the different locales, starting with the mine. Whoever has the most 9s will get to pick a gold nugget, which gives you points. Whoever has the most 10s gets to rob the bank, and the bank gets its money from the money people paid to hold dice. So in a round where more people are paying money to hold dice or to not to reroll dice, more money will be applied to the following round. If you have the most jacks, you get to draw cards from the general store. They're going to have special abilities, victory points, special actions, things that you can do. If you have the most queens, you go to the saloon and you elicit the ladies to steal cards from other people. So that was Wayne's game.
Yeah.
Wayne was just stealing cards from everywhere.
From you.
The player with the most kings gets to become the sheriff. They get the sheriff marker. The sheriff has the power to break any ties. If ever there's a tie for one of the locations, the sheriff decides, and you are allowed to bribe the sheriff. Whoever has the best overall poker hand goes to the the mayor, the town hall, to visit the mayor, and they get to take plots of land, or 3 land plots on the display, and they have victory points. For winning that spot, you get the first one that's available. For every ace that you have in that hand, you get an additional one up to the total 3 display that's there. You refill the display after that. And then anyone who didn't get one of those gets to go to see the doc and pick up some kind of a weird elixir that does Doc what?
Bad luck or hard
Doc,
luck?
Doc hard luck, Doc bad luck, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much
Special
it.
powers.
You
It's good.
re-rack and you go until all of the mines, the nuggets are gone from the mine, or all of the plot cards, the land cards, are gone from the town hall.
Yep. That's good. Simple, cutthroaty. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to kind of go at people.
Oh, Rob thought he was going to end the game. He's like, I'm going to go, and I've got
Get all
all
the
these
nuggets. All
nines,
these
and I'm
nuggets.
taking 4 nuggets. I'm like, ooh, that means there's only 3 left to end the game. And Rob was like, no, I got this card here. Pop.
Double
lets
up.
me double up my nuggets. And then, no, Carlos has got a card here that cancels your card. And the look on Rob's face was worth it.
And had you not canceled that card, you would have won the game.
I believe you're right.
Probably so.
Probably so.
Probably so.
Because I think you won the nuggets after that.
No, he had no.
you
that-
took.
I took
But
the
I
last
stole-
night.
I stole
he
another
stole
card
the
from you.
8 points from the card, and then 5 points from the sheriff.
Yeah.
So you lost what 13
Good
points
times.
there in the last
Yeah,
round.
yeah.
But
Dice Town.
That's a fun one. It's
a
laugh,
fun game,
You
yeah.
laugh. You poke at each
Just
other.
quick.
It's cutthroat. Yeah.
The only downfall is I could see where like if your people aren't going. I think the nuggets go probably faster than the plots, and so if people aren't going for the nuggets and the plots aren't going as fast because people aren't getting aces, the game could drag a little maybe.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Oh, a little, no, a lot. What I didn't like about it is it doesn't scale to the number of players. There's going to be 30 nuggets, and there's going to be a deck of plot cards, no matter if it's 2 players or
2, 3,
5.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs to scale.
It plays 2 to 5.
I believe it
5,
plays
yeah, I
5.
think it's
5
5.
would go pretty quick. And that would be a lot more interaction between. With only 3, there was several times where there was no interaction. People aren't fighting for multiple spots. But if you play with 5, then it's gonna get busy. Everyone's gonna be fighting for that. There'll be a lot more ties.
There's an expansion to it. Actually, the expansion may have added the 5th player. Now I'm thinking about we only had enough dice, I think, for 4 in the base game. But there's an expansion that adds another location. It adds some more cards. It adds, I think, another mechanism to the game. And I think that might add a 5th, maybe even a 6th player in the expansion. I played it once or twice, but it's been years, so I can't remember what all it does. But yeah, it's good. Good.
Oh, BJ must have heard his name.
what's up?
Ears must have been burning.
Yeah, you missed the call. Connor called in a little earlier and talked about all the games that you donated to his library and all the fun he's having with those games, BJ.
He's very appreciative, yeah.
So a big shout out to BJ from Board Game Gumbo out in Louisiana.
Woo-hoo. What else did we play tonight? We played
Strike.
I was going to say Strike jumps to mind. Wayne had never played Strike.
Never. It's fun. That was fun. I know that's a game that then you got to bring that to like Dice Tower East and get like, get like 10 or 15 people from the Dice Tower crew, or not Dice Tower, from the Beans and Dice crew. And let's all play it one night while we're
Yeah. You got people in that game who say they are good at that game. I don't think there is any good at that game, but it is what it is. It's
There's
fun.
a technique. Like
Rob,
number one.
Rob had
People,
that technique.
people
down
will
tonight,
argue
man.
that if you hit the die just right, you can flip it aside or whatever, but you got to be a lot of practice to do that.
What you don't do is throw your dice out of the box.
like, turn after turn after turn.
That was me. That's how you lose.
I can tell. I was there.
It was good.
I don't know if you played Strike, Mike. It's super lucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played it. It's one on my list to play. Like it's more of a con game for me, probably.
Yeah.
BJ calls it out. It says Strike, the game of gladiatorial combat. Which one is more thematic, Strike or Twilight Imperium?
Well,
So now
I will tell you, when I think of Strike, before, when I first played it, I didn't really realize that the idea behind it was to be a gladiatorial combat. Now that I understood it as that, I had so much more fun because the dice tray inside of the box,
Coliseum.
it looks like a little Coliseum. I can see it now. So, and then like I'm not sure. I can't remember what to call those schools.
Ludo, isn't it Ludo?
Ludos. Yeah. Like we're all like owners of gladiators. So you got a handful of these gladiators you're taking into combat. Like, all right, I got 2 gladiators
Like,
coming back.
using different colored dice. Everyone's got D6s, different colors.
oh my God, just throw your dice.
or like I throw my dice in and I'm like, oh no, my gladiator died.
Do the sides of the dice matter, or does any of that have anything to do with the game,
They're
or is
all
it
the
just
same.
a
All the
matter?
Same. All 6 D6s.
Now,
Well, I just didn't know, like, if it lands on a 5, does it mean anything different than
No.
if it landed on a
Matching-
2?
no,
or-
The
So you have to
6 is an
match-
X. I'm sorry, the 1 is an X.
Yeah.
So he dies.
If it lands on a 1, that gladiator's dead.
Okay.
So you take him out of the game. No one can ever pick him up.
But that's
I think
the only
also
side that matters.
Yeah, all you're trying to do is make pairs, so or triples or whatever. You get to take them out if they match.
BJ says he's the former world champion of Strike at Gen Con 2019.
Now, BJ, is that an actual like separate Strike tournament that was like world champion, or are you talking about like the rolling dice and taking names annual Strike tournament at Gen Con?
That's a good question. He does talk about, and this is where Mike, I was going to bring this up, but BJ brings it up first. He talks about if it does. It does if you play the Harry Potter version. The Harry Potter version has symbols instead of numbers, and the symbols, when they match, trigger spells. So each dice has special powers. Yes, Wayne, you got an answer to that?
Taking names. That's like if I ever go back to Gen Con, that's like one of the things, man. I gotta go to the rolling dice take names meetup, and because they apparently have like this giant meetup at like the Spaghetti Factory, or they'll have.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
They'll have like 200 people there and have like this epic 200 person like Strike tournament, and they separate into like gladiators versus whatever, and it's like 100 people versus 100 people, and they get down. They keep it's like March Madness, like yeah.
Wait, next time we play Strike Dice, you gotta say what Chester commented here.
Have you seen my chance?
Have you seen my chance cube? Pablo 42 says, I feel there's money in retheming tumbling dice as pushing people down the stairs, kind of like Bloody
That's cool.
Inn.
Well, but there's also that other game that they play at Dice Tower where it's tumbling dice, right? It's like, it's got like that's like pushing people down the stairs.
That's what he's saying. The tumbling dice.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Oh,
That's a Dice Tower thing we do. Had done for.
That's the one that we did for a few years at the Dice Tower.
Yep.
Oh man, I love that. Those 1 or 2 a.m. games of tumbling dice, man. They come breaking out. Oh yeah, I'm moving over to that table.
I like that theme though. Pushing grandma down.
Bloody Inn.
Yikes, man.
You're the one that introduced me to Bloody Inn, Mike. You like the
Dude, that game is amazing, man. I love that game. I mean, what better game to, you're checking people in, you're killing them, and then you got to hide them from the cops. And
Hide the
if the cops find them, you got to pay the cops off. And sometimes you can hire the cops to help you. And yeah,
what a theme!
That's
a
a great game.
too. Yeah,
retheme that as like 1960s mafia right there.
Nice.
And then finally, we played Picky Pixies.
Oh yeah.
Picky Pixies is a Button Shy game. I will say this copy was sent to us by Button Shy.
Nice.
So we got to give props to Button Shy for sending it out. It is a 16. This is what Button Shy does.
18 cards, right?
18 card game. All their games are 18 cards. And it's a logic deduction game.
Yeah.
Where each player there can be a number of rounds equal to the number of players. Each player will play the role of the Picky Pixie that round. They're going to get 2 cards that have flowers on them. And when they get those cards, those flowers on the cards have multiple different options. I don't know if it's hard to see, maybe with the camera. Either way, so you're going to get these cards. You're going to have all these different flowers, different colors, and different flowers on them. What you're going to have to do is come up with a rule in your head for what kind of flowers you like to eat. You want to eat the groups of flowers that have at least 2 yellow, or you want to eat the groups of flowers that are odd number purple flowers, right? So you create this question, and then you indicate by placing on this yes and no card which side applies to what you chose. So it kind of ends up looking like that. Now the players will start pulling cards from the deck and asking you to place it on either side of this yes-no chart that you created. And based on how you place the cards that they feed you, so the flowers, the groups of flowers that they try to feed you, where you place it starts to give them clues on what type of flowers you are seeking. I see the look on your face, Mike. That's how I felt the whole game. Reading the rules, play the game. Like, I cannot figure this out.
Once you figure it out, though, it becomes like it's actually really pretty easy.
Like, number one, like, I get my 2 cards. Okay, what rule will I use? I don't know. And then I'm staring at the guys. They're staring at me. I'm staring at them. Okay, I got to make a decision.
Well, I knew what rule you were choosing before you knew what rule you were choosing.
It's obvious because he's like, I play this card and I guess and I win. And
I guess right off the first turn.
So is it a game that you think has a lot of replayability?
It does
for certain groups.
Yeah, like if you're into logic puzzle type games, if you're a fan of Turing Machine. A lot of yes, no, if then things. Then,
Mastermind type.
Then this is a game for you.
But the problem is it's going to take a subset of gamers, and it's not going to be a beer and pretzel game because you're going to have to use your brain to figure it
Yeah,
out. So
yeah.
Rob went to go create his question.
Oh yeah.
And he added to his formula. So you came up with a formula, right? This is the logic answer I have. Rob took the parentheses and added another set of
Took it to another
parentheses
level.
on top of that. So it's like, I want these types of flowers and these types of flowers to be represented on that group you give me. And that's like advanced.
And it
There's
was.
literally
No,
advanced
yeah,
rules
so
for that.
The first round, Carlos came up with his rule, and it was not a simple rule, but a simple rule.
Oh,
It
just
was
say it.
Like,
It was
no, it was
simple.
like
At
you know,
least one yellow flower.
At least one yellow flower. Right?
I
Whatever
want
it is.
bunches of flowers that have at least one
Yeah,
yellow.
right. So three bunch, at least one. Full bunch, at least one. We get that after a couple of rounds. Rob gets it, but then Rob does his, and we're guessing. We're like
One round.
we're-
Couple.
one
No, it was
round.
one
One
card,
round. It was
one
card.
guess.
One card
It was
guess.
over.
Yeah, it was over. Then Rob did his, and it was like, what was yours?
Mine was at least two pairs of two different colors.
At least two pairs of two different colors. So we're playing, and we're going through the thing, and Carlos and I are like, I don't know. And Rob's like,
I can see it on their face. I was like, we don't need to go any further.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you.
He's like, I'll just tell you guys, but I think maybe I played this wrong because I think I went hard. So he tells us the clue, and I'm like, I'm looking at the rules.
It's like,
and
hold
in
up,
the
there's an
back,
advanced
there's
set
an
of
advanced
rules
set of
here.
rules where you can. I'm like, oh, you after one round you went advanced. Great.
Yeah,
thanks.
it's like for advanced rules, you combine two different rules,
Yeah.
and that's what I had done. So
So this playable. I said that I thought the base rules where you just pick a simple rule is this would be a good game with kids because
Yeah.
it teaches kids some logical thinking and
Sure,
higher order
okay.
thinking. And how do you take these things and extrapolate that to a rule? So there's some gamification, game schooling in here where you can play with kids. But if you like games like Turing Machine, then this is a game for you. This is Turing Machine in a
or fiction.
yeah.
I mean, it kind of reminded me of fiction.
I don't know what kind of kids you're playing with. I struggled, and I don't think I struggled.
You're not a kid.
I'm still struggling.
kids think different, man. No, it was
Like
fun.
maybe what I would need is like a set of cards that had like a group of options.
All the
like,
possible
like
rules?
not all possible questions, but like a good chunk of here are some things you could pick, and then be like, okay, I want that one.
Examples of all the
Right.
possibilities. Okay.
You know, because it was hard to come up because Mike, they hand you like a set of flowers. So you have 4 groups of flowers, and you got to figure out of these 4 groups, I need to make one of those groups apply to my rule, and I need to make the other one not apply and put them as yes and no's. So it's like I have to not only look at what fits in this Venn diagrams, they're amazing, but on the fly, very hard to kind of come up with. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's just cool though. Like the game space you can create with 18 cards.
that's a cool part.
That is cool.
Combinations. Yeah.
So.
So I want to thank Button Shy for sending it out. Elizabeth Hargrave for designer of Fox Experiment.
Wingspan.
Wingspan. She did Wingspan?
Wingspan.
Yeah.
Little
Very
game
cool.
called
Most
Mariposas.
Most people haven't heard
Never
of it.
heard of it.
Mariposas, yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
Picky Pixie.
Yeah, cool.
What else y'all got? What have y'all been up to?
Yeah,
Go
Mike.
ahead,
What was the
Wayne.
third game you played? Or
No thanks.
Oh yeah,
Which
no
is-
thanks.
I've been wanting that one.
I haven't played that. I never played that until we played it on BGA this year. I think it's been within the last 3 or 4 months, and I'd never played it before. I'd heard of it plenty, but it was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more of a it's like end of the night game or
Sure.
something like that. You get a lot of those oh my gosh type moments when the same when you're getting all those cards in a row and they're just lowering your total number that you're going to be getting at the end of the round. That's
Yeah.
it's a pretty fun game.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's one that I wanted to play, but walk me through how it plays. Like, I
Okay,
guess
so-
I've never watched a video or how to play.
Okay, so depending on the number of players, you each start with like these little markers, which are kind of like your betting, chits or whatever. So we played a 3-player game. Everybody gets 11 markers, and they're like little stones or whatever. Then there are cards numbered, just one of each, numbered, I think it's 3 through 35, I think is the numbers. You're going to shuffle up the cards. You're going to randomly take 9 out of the deck, and you put the deck face down. The object of the game is you want to have the least number of points at the end of the game. So whoever's starting, they say it's the oldest person at the table, you flip the card over. Whatever the number is, and again, you got to keep in mind, you're trying to get the lowest number or lowest score by the end of the game. The game ends when the deck runs out. So you flip the card over. You can either choose to take the card and it stays face up in front of you, and then you get to flip the next card, and you can decide at that point. If you don't want the card, you take one of your markers and you throw it on the card and say no thanks. Then it goes to the next person. And it basically until the next person, it builds up, it's the incentivizing of these tokens that you have. Eventually somebody's going to take it, or if you run out, I think you're forced to take it at that point.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then whoever takes the card flips the next one. So the way that you lower your score is you're going to sum up the total of your cards that you have, and there's a little bit to that. I'm going to get back to it. Minus the number of tokens that you have left at the end of the game.
Oh, the tiddlywinks are negatives.
Yes.
Correct, which is what you want.
I was like, well, I don't want these. Get rid of these. I was going to make it rain.
No, you want them. If you get a run of cards, so, let's say you had 22, 23, 24, 25, only the lowest number in that run counts toward your score.
So you can take multiple cards as long as they keep staying in consecutive order. It doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, you can, at the end of the game, you could have a 10, you could have a 15, you could have a 22, 23, 24. It's just, you're the singles, obviously you're going to get those count. And then whatever, if you have a run, it's the lowest number on that run. So it's the sum of those cards minus your markers that you have at the end of the game. And usually, you get people that are like, a 30 will pop up and they're like, I know I can get that lower, so you're risking, it's a risk reward type of game, with very quick, betting with incentive, going forward. And you can play 3 rounds of it, and you could teach it and play 3 rounds of it probably within 30 minutes, easy.
Chester Wilson says, no thanks is one of my 5 games for Doomsday.
Love that.
That's pretty high level of praise there.
That is.
And it plays up to 7. So that makes it even... and if Doomsday, if you lost all the little chits, you could just pick up stones and use those instead.
Yeah, there you go.
I played this game once or twice. I haven't played it now. It's on BGA.
It's on BGA.
Oh man, that's gonna put it. That'll be a game that created and throw it into our Discord channel like tonight.
Yeah,
we should play it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
I played a game in our group. Somebody posted it up maybe a month ago, and I played it for the first time ever. And I played it once or twice since then. It's fun.
Yeah,
I
gotta get that one.
Yeah.
I don't own No Thanks, and I don't own For Sale, and those are 2 games that I feel like I need to own.
Yeah, For Sale's really good.
$10.
Oh,
yeah,
That's
it's
nothing.
cheap.
It's already on Amazon.
And they're
Carlos
nice.
is buying it now.
They're nice large cards, so you can see them from across the table. So even if you have a table full of 7 people, you can all see the cards real easy. They're easy to read. It's it's fun.
Carlos is buying a game.
No, I have willpower.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
Add the card.
We got.
I thought you. Go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to put up a comment, but go ahead.
Oh, no. When Wayne was cutting in, I thought he was going to mention something about BGA, because I'm finally playing games on BGA now.
Oh, yeah. I saw
So-
your
Get you in
friend
there.
request. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
What game did you just beat me in? That I'm like, how did you? Oh, it was Space Base, was it or no?
No. It's a Wonderful World.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm like not good at that game, and I finally I scored 60 points, and he scored 64.
I do really good or really bad. I either just completely crush it or I just get crushed in it every time I play.
Yeah,
So
it's good. I like that game. I'm starting to get the hang of it. Like it took me forever to just you have to really start quick with that game. If you don't get a good first round, it's hard to
Build that engine.
Yeah, 'cause it's only 4 rounds.
I don't know when to change from the collecting stuff, building my engine to turning it into points, and that's my
I'm
problem.
always like a half round behind.
Yeah, I just keep going and going and going and get more and more cubes, and then other people are
That's
cashing
because
in
you
points.
you'd play Terraforming Mars for 4 hours. So you just want to build
there you go.
engines forever.
Exactly, that's what I want to do. Yeah, that's me.
Well, and the
Yes.
thing with It's a Wonderful World is you can have all the cards under the sun. Doesn't matter if they don't have
Oh, yeah.
points on them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's the big thought about it behind it, because people that play for like the first or second time, they're like, oh man, look at all these cards that I'm
Stuff I'm
creating all
generating.
these cubes. Doesn't matter. You have no
Yep.
points.
That's what I did in my last game. I played with Nick Oben. I thought I was crushing everybody because I was making like 12 of one color and 15 of another color. I was like twice as many cubes as everybody else, and then Nick doubled my score. And at the end, I sat there and thought it stunned me at the end when I saw the final scores. Like, how did I lose? I was like, you know what? I never did anything to make points. I just was making cubes the whole time. So yeah, it was nice. Yeah, but I did a thing.
That's a fun game.
There you go.
And that's
Yeah.
and I did a shout out in the Discord to Board Game Dojo,
Yeah,
right?
I like his shows.
Yep.
He did a conversational review of Furnace, and
yeah.
on that exact point, like he made me rethink my thoughts on Furnace just by listening to that conversation. He talked about Furnace as an engine builder, which is the same as Wonderful World.
Wonderful World.
That's the name. It's an engine builder, but in Furnace you only have 4 rounds. So what he really likes about Furnace is like you have to figure out, how do I make stuff while keeping in mind I need to figure out how to turn it into points by the end of round 4.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about these engine building games is Rob and I will sit
Oh yeah.
at the engine building part and love it.
And that's where we got into those headbutting contests with Mitchell. He kept telling us, "I'm going to kick you guys' butt every time I play. If you sit there and just build your engine the whole time." We're like, "Bring it on! I want to see this." So
Because I love that piece, the engine building piece. What I don't know is deciding at what point do I start grabbing things that make points out of the engine I built.
yeah.
And that's what Furnace does well, is it distills it down to 4 rounds.
Furnace, Space Base, Dice, the dice game where you're changing size of your dice. I forget.
Oh, the Dice Throne?
Dice Throne.
Dice
Maybe,
Throne.
no,
not Dice Throne. Dice Throne's the
Anyway,
Yeah.
those are all those games. You're building your engine, and you have to hit
Dice Forge.
the turn. Dice Forge.
Dice
thank you.
Forge. There you go.
Hit the turn quick, right? And you're like, oh, and that's my problem, is figuring out where that turn
Yeah.
is. You know.
Yeah, we're in the game. That's going to happen. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Sam, you're in a game of Res Arcana with Mike and me. We were complaining about you not taking a turn for a day earlier this week.
Almost 2 days, man.
All right, you got to hit.
I was
Aaron's
ready to
comment on
report
there.
Phone
it to
lines
the
are open.
You
authorities.
got to go back up to
813-618-7099.
DJ's
He's gonna
comment.
click on it. We've talked about this before. Go ahead and put it up there.
Yeah.
Aaron Clark says, "Hey guys, random question or thought. With Dice Tower currently running their 30-hour gaming marathon, any thoughts on running a Beans and Dice live stream gaming marathon?"
We've talked about this. We
Yeah.
talked about doing something in your house, having different people come in throughout the day.
Do a Tiny Epic Day, a Shem Phillips Day.
Yeah.
Definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
I just wonder if would we be allowed to stream that long at Dice Tower? Like, I don't know if, like, Tom gives us the show. Like, he lets us do the show from Dice Tower. Can you imagine if we had a table set up nonstop?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do it at Dice Tower though. Really,
I
to
know
be
we
honest.
did like back-to-back streaming at Your Turn Con. Remember, I set up that whole table, and we did it. So
We should do
we've
something
done
this summer
we've done
at
it.
some point. Like
Yeah,
even
just-
if it's
Do it here, do it somewhere,
Yeah.
or even do it at my place. You know, my plan eventually, I've said this for a couple of years now, unfortunately, is to set up a studio at my house specifically based on live plays. That's always been my thing. I just got to scrape together. I'm getting 2 kids out of the house this summer, so 2 of the
Hell
3 will
yeah.
be gone.
That's what I'm
Poppy
talking
loves you,
about.
Pumpkin.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Once I get those, I'll have a little bit extra cash. Get those kids off my insurance.
Don't let that fool you, man.
Oh no!
Once
that
they're
won't happen.
they're always
Oh,
your kids. Don't
tell
ever
me that.
think you
Don't
get
tell
rid
me
of them.
that. Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby?
you'll save on food.
Yeah.
No, not really, because I'm in college looking at you for food money the whole
But
time.
I got to invest in a couple of cameras. I want to do it right. I want to have some nice audio. But I want to set up a part, and my wife's cool with it, to set up a part of my house for just live streaming
Oh,
and
that's
doing
awesome.
games and stuff. So I want to get that done hopefully in the next year or so. But yeah, if I can do that, we can do it at my place. And yeah, again, we can have people come over, play games at different times, different groups of people. Be a lot of fun. So yeah, Aaron, we definitely have talked about that in different iterations over the years. But one of these days we'll make it happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw BJ had a comment after Aaron. I think scroll back up a bit.
Before?
No, right there. No thanks. Excellent game.
Oh yeah. No thanks.
$10. I can't. And I guess that's probably
get
why
that.
I've passed it,
Yeah.
because I've heard. I keep hearing about No Things being great.
If you're not buying it tonight, I am going to buy it when I get home. If I had my laptop up right now, I'd be buying it.
Right next to Uno and all that stuff on the show.
Yeah,
Putting
Yeah.
pressure on Carlos now.
I am.
I'm trying. What's sad is, like, if it was a $50 game, I'd be like, let's go. But it's like, you know what? I can show that I have willpower if I just don't buy this game. Like, I'm trying to tell myself. I can
Girl
do this.
math, though. How about this? You buy this $10 game now. You're actually you're saving $40
Because it's 28% off right now.
and you're saving $40 from the $50 game you would have bought.
Yeah, see?
There you go.
So literally, I made $40 bucks,
spend that
so I
40
can go
on
buy
something
another
else.
$40
Yes,
game.
there you go. That's
Right.
Girl math.
You can buy another expansion for Mansions of Madness, you know.
Oh man, I want to crack that.
I
that
think,
Agatha
I
Christie
think
one.
I'm playing that this weekend.
are
Saturday
you?
night.
Really?
Yeah, wife
Hell
and I
yeah.
have our date night Saturday night. I said, there's a Mansions of Madness one that we haven't done that's kind of like a murder mystery where somebody gets murdered and you have to. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
You have that one?
It's one you got to buy, right? Just a
Yeah,
download. Yeah.
I just cracked
yeah.
it.
We
Do you want to
haven't
borrow
bought
it?
but no, I have all the stuff for it. Like,
Oh, you have everything you need to
I
play
have
that one?
everything. I have
He
everything.
has every
for Mansion Mansion.
expansion.
I have every
Everything.
expansion.
Okay, I had to buy the expansion. It was $17.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I have,
bad.
I have all the expansions. I just didn't buy that DLC one because I never like we.
Oh, you don't have to DLC it. You just got to own it. Check the box that you own it, and it shows up there.
No, there's
I
some
mean-
that are you have to purchase online.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of a different one then. Because there's one where a guy gets murdered downtown, and the cops shoo everyone away, and you're
I
there
put it
trying
in
to
the kitchen.
investigate.
I left it in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
we're gonna go through and find that one and play it.
All right. Well, you message me and once you confirm which one is the
Yeah.
one that's the murder mystery, so I
Yeah.
can make sure I have it as well.
Yep. Cool.
Interested in that.
All right, Mike. I'm
What?
mad. I'm mad, Mike.
Oh, Wayne's
oh,
rant.
all right.
Yeah,
Wayne's
I was not really
rant.
mad, but no, like you and I have been going back about this Cthulhu. What is it? The Murder on the Orient Express Cthulhu game.
yeah.
I'm glad this is coming up, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad this is coming up.
I showed it to my wife the other day, and I said, "Babe, look at this
Now,
Kickstarter."
we're talking about what is it on the Orient Express or whatever?
Yeah.
Cthulhu on the Orient Express.
Yeah, whatever.
Something like that.
Something like that. You know what it is.
Anyway, yes. And I showed it to my wife, and we love Mansion Madness. We love all that stuff. She looks at it immediately and goes, "Yes, buy it. Do it." I'm like, "All right, fine." So I go in, I go to pledge it.
Like she's putting, oh, fine. You're twisting my arm.
Twist
All right,
them out, fine. But no, she's like, "Oh, that'd be cool. Let's do it." So I look at it. And
We got to intro this.
what?
Wayne's World is brought to
Okay.
you by Noah's Arcade. Party on, Wayne.
Wayne's World, Wayne's World, party time.
PC made now, right?
Mike said he's deaf now.
Yeah. No, so I go to buy it. I go to Kickstarter it, and I'm like, oh, it was only $99. And I go on there, and of course, that's the same day they reveal, hey, for $50 more, you can do this campaign edition. And I'm like, all right, so it's $99. I was figuring it'd be $100 in. Now it's $50 more. All right, I turn to her. I go, babe, it's not $100. It's $140. But it's got a campaign. She's like, oh, campaign. That sounds fun. Let's do it. Great. And then today, they go, well, if you want to add 50 more bucks, we'll give you another box with more plastic and more of this and more adventures of this. And I'm like, this has turned into like one of those CMON freaking things where they're just every 4 days they're going to add on another $50 value to get you to buy more shit that you're not, excuse me, it's after 10. Yeah, we go.
10:04.
Put the kids to bed, folks.
Yeah, buy more crap. That I'm like, so now it's a $200 thing if you want it all in. But you know what?
Plus
I'm
shipping.
Gonna go plus shipping, so $240. And I'm like, see, this is what I hate. This is why I'm trying to get away from Kickstarting. Although I did back 3 games the last week.
Nice. I give up on
How's this
Kickstarter
going?
and 3 more
Yeah,
games.
I was really good. I hadn't backed a
games
game in
later.
like
I was
6-7
really
months.
good.
I was really
I
good
love
for like
it.
6-7 months, and then three weeks, 3 games. Yeah, so I mean, that's really pissing me off. I really wish they would have just had it all. Like, if you're gonna do stuff like that, just put it all out from the beginning. Like, I'm really annoyed with this because now I guarantee you there's like 10 days left in the campaign. They have
Two more
another
tiers.
at least one more
Yeah, 2 more
$50.
tiers.
They've already
drop.
established
But
the
here's
cadence.
what they may do though is they may add an all-in tier where it's a little bit less than if you were
They
to
have
add
that
them individually.
now. It's like, oh, it's
they
$100
do.
less. Yeah, they have like each time they add another tier. So there was like, the back $1 to do the page manager, then $99 all in. Then it's $149 for the campaign. Now it's $189 for everything, and the next one will be $220 something. I'm like,
When Kickstarters used to do that, like when I cared a little bit more, when they add like that second one, it would upset me. I would just go back to the basic pledge.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what
So
he was
many times
saying.
because it would
Yes.
get me pissed off.
yeah, that's what we do. I'm like, screw it.
We're
I
at
don't
the
need-
dinner
I don't
table.
need that stupid campaign. I'm just gonna go back to the $99 pledge. I was tempted to. Just
He was
cancel the
threatening
freaking
to
thing.
take it back down to the original original pledge.
Or I might just
Yeah.
cancel it all. Be like, screw it. I'm not gonna even like. I
I
hate
haven't
that.
backed it yet, but it's something that I've been going back and forth on it, whether or not I'm going to back that game, and I think I'm going to pass on it personally. I mean, just because I'm at that stage where I got to get rid of shit, man. I can't.
Yeah, like
you know.
it's the kind of game that my wife would enjoy, but I'm thinking, Christ, we've played a bunch of Mansion Madness, and we still haven't played all of the games in that. We have Elder Sign, we have Eldritch Horror, we've got Pandemic Season 0 and 2, 2 and 0 to still play. I now just back to Flashpoint Fire Rescue Legacy game, but I'm not gonna probably play that with the three of us maybe or something, and forget her on that one. But I don't know.
I think the tough part for me is that whole you're trying to show that you're making good family decisions. You're having those pre-conversations. You're setting the kind of like the expectations for this a spend, and then they come in and say, "Hey, for another $40," and I'm like, okay, let me come back around and reset expectations. I mean, like, I wasn't expecting this, and then here's another time. So it's almost like at work, Rob, with claims, right? When we go to boss and we need authority, we should be asking for like a range. Listen, right now it's at this. Right, $100, but with history, I expect like 300. So I need authority somewhere between $100 and $300, wherever it lands. We're in, right? We're good. We're in for this. Kind of that kind of a commitment.
You can't negotiate because that's what I tell my people. I was like, when that happens, you go back to that attorney and you tell him, "Hey, I got one shot at this. You give me the number, and I'm going to tell you yes or no."
Yep. But I think at least the campaign thing makes sense, right? Because the game is replayable, but then there's a story that you can do a campaign. Great. This other one is, I'm definitely not backing it. I'm not adding for it. It's because it's just all plastic. It's just more plastic that you don't need. It's like Aaron hit the thing, the Kickstarter bloat.
Yeah.
This is clearly just bloat because it's not really. It's giving you like maybe 1 or 2 extra locations that you're never gonna, and it's just a crap load of plastic that I don't even give a shit.
That's the part.
Anyway.
So I listened to the Secret Cabal episode. It was great. But that was a recurring theme in that episode was I always get trapped by the extra plastic. So, for example, the zombie side, I get all the extra plastic. And every time I played the game, I've never had a need for any of that plastic.
Right.
Like, never used it once.
I'm going back to like Tom Bassel on some, maybe one of their crowdfunding shows said that like he gave up. He will do base pledge, that's it, and never pledge for any of the expansion stuff or all that. He's like, nope, just give me the base pledge. So I'm actually thinking about going back to the base pledge because maybe the campaigns. I'm gonna play this game a bunch, maybe 6 to 10 times. Do I need a 20 game campaign? No. So $50 saved. So them adding $50 more in plastic cost them $50 because I'm gonna go back to the base pledge.
Pull that back.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm mad about it. It's just annoying. I hate when they do that. Like because that's
obnoxious.
Honest, it's obnoxious. That's why I stay away from the CMON stuff and some of the other like the Mythic games and all those other ones that just every couple of days, here's more plastic, here's more things, here's more just that bloat. That's just, I hate it. Yeah. Anyway, rant over.
Wayne's World.
He's not mad about it.
No, not really. I get excited about things. I'm not really ever mad.
Yeah.
I'm a passionate person. What do you want?
Phone lines are still open, 813-618-7099. Call in, talk about what you got going on gaming-wise, what you've been up to. I'm going to check the Discord to see if we got any comments in there.
Yeah, Sam, I'm a proud Kickstarter virgin, but let's talk about how many games you buy at the flea markets.
Don't want to talk about that.
Don't
want to talk about
it. I've never bought a game on Kickstarter. She bought 300 games at the flea market, though.
So nerdy stuff on the side. I started watching Fallout last night.
I saw it.
Prime.
I just noticed last night that it was out, and I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
I got 2 episodes in, man. It is very good.
Is it?
I can't wait to get. I got to see where this goes. And I wasn't a big. I played Fallout a little bit, Fallout 3 a little bit on PC, New Vegas a little bit. So I know that there's like all these little Easter eggs, fanfare type stuff that are going on, and I'm catching some of it, but a lot of it I'm like, I know that means something. I'm just kind of oblivious to what it means.
Yeah.
But even if you don't know that stuff, just the storyline and the opening scene and all the characters are so good right now. I just hope it continues throughout the rest of the season. I think they already have a season 2 set up.
So what, 8 episodes, I think, in season 1? Is that what?
I think it's 8.
I think so,
I haven't even looked because I don't want to know. Like I'm just kind of like going into it
Yeah,
blind.
ruined it for you.
I think I'm going to a watch. I'm going to a watch party this Sunday.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. Well,
You gonna dress up?
Not me, but there will be. There's my bigger Dragon Con group. There's a whole chunk of them that do a group cosplay of Fallout. They're all big Fallout players, and so every year they would do various cosplays from Fallout. So they're all like, no one watch it. We're all gonna watch it on Sunday. Come on over to my house. We'll do it.
That's
so
cool.
Oh, very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, my son, my 13-year-old, asked me if he could watch it. I told him I'd have to wait, kind of see appropriateness.
I will tell you right now, there are heads getting blown off. There are people losing limbs, and they're showing it. They are not holding back at all in this series.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to check out my family-friendly filter features.
There you
to see
go.
when it
You'll
shows
get
up
through
on
the
there.
entire season in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. 8 seasons.
You know, it was funny. There was a article this week that I read. Somebody had posted a screenshot of a Netflix show, and it had a feature on there: "Make this family movie night friendly," right? And posted it up. They're like, "Check out this new feature," and everybody on the comments of this post, this Instagram or whatever post it was, were all like, "Oh, I'd totally pay for that. Would love this feature." It was a joke. The person did it as a
April
joke.
Fool's thing,
Yeah, it was like an April Fool's thing because there is no family-friendly feature from Netflix. But then that got me laughing because, Mike and you guys know I pay like extra money a month for a streaming service to run my streaming services through to filter out all that stuff. So like there's already, but I think there would be a demand for that stuff. Just kind of, can we just tone this down a little bit? Can we just, Mortal Kombat used to have a feature where you can turn off the blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Video games have that. Like I play like a Call of Duty, you can make it non-gory and things like that. So
Like, and it's getting hard to enjoy good television with family because there's all kinds of stuff showing up. So it's a little family-friendly feature would be nice. But outside of the violence, any other things you got to worry about family-wise?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of like male butt scenes. There's a sex scene in the first
Hey, Rob,
episode.
high five.
Hey, let's take our shirts off.
So I mean, and again, I'm only into it 2 episodes. It's more of the gore and the violence over anything else. I mean, there's some F-bombs being dropped here and there, but
Okay.
but it's got some
not too
it's got
horrible.
the it's got the typical Fallout humor. It's not overdone, and it's just, I can't believe the production value that they put into this show, though. Like, some of the stuff is just unbelievable. I mean, and I know a lot of it's CGI or whatever, but a lot of it isn't CGI. I watched a little featurette thing with, I forget the name of the guy that, he's like the head honcho at Bethesda who, designed the game. And he was like, I was brought on the set just to kind of like, not to intervene, but to kind of like say, this is authentic, this would be authentic to the game. And he's like, a lot of the stuff I thought would be CGI. And he's like, they literally built these huge, areas that you just would not think that they would be able to do. And so, it's very cool. I do like
a lot. There's been a trend in like the last 4 or 5 years back towards practical effects.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I would say like
the
new Star Wars movies, hit or miss is what some of them were. They've that sort of started that trend, back to like not relying on the CGI too much,
Yeah.
Or if they're doing it like the Mandalorian,
Supplements.
they have that set with the planet is on set. It's like that wraparound, IMAX style screen that they film in front of. So even though it is like a fake planet or a fake world, the actors aren't acting to green screen.
Right.
Like they're in the world. So the color and the hue of the planet is reflecting off of them and off their gear. It's just you can tell. Like there's just like you can tell. The boys, I introduced them to Twister not too long ago. They had a blast watching the movie, and I was like, wow, look at all these effects. Cars flying across the screen. The cow was fake. We get it. But outside of that, a lot of the other effects were like, them actually using practical effects. Like the kids were really into that.
You said the boys. I thought you were going into that show. It's like, oh, no.
No. That one is, it is, VidAngel does have that one on the filters.
Does it really?
We can filter that.
Are you serious?
That's another 30-second show.
Bro,
if you're doing that.
Opening credits and credits over.
Here's the deal, though. The way it works, the VidAngel software, it'll have like that episode might have 400 things you can filter. So you can literally go in and check each box on every instance and decide which instances you're okay with. From nudity to sex content to what words. So like Tropic Thunder, I got to pick which words not to allow. Right? So like N words, I wouldn't allow that. But
here's my question for you, though, Carlos. Is there not enough programming or programs or shows or movies that you can't watch with your kids where you have to lean towards these types of movies?
A lot of it has to do with me wanting to watch my TV in my living room. Like I like to watch my TV
Oh,
in
so
my
it's
living
a
room,
selfish decision, is what
right?
you're
So
saying.
if I otherwise, and it got harder as the kids got older because now we got what 13, 20, and 17, right? They're not going to bed at 8:30. Like these kids are outlasting me. They're up playing video games all night. So it's like
So other than your 13-year-old, though, I mean, that's really where you're
even
worried,
even
is-
my oldest will use it. So that's they understand what you put in your eyes can impact what you put out to the world. So they also filter themselves, which is good. So you cut out the big stuff. Like I really wanted to watch Oppenheimer in theater. Couldn't do it. All the sex scenes, all the nude scenes. I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify it. But once it showed up on VidAngel, boom, perfect. We can cut out all those scenes and just enjoy the
two of
movie.
them, yeah, two.
So me and my boys, you remember growing up with your parents watching a movie. I remember my wife's church group. They went and watched Titanic in theaters, the youth group. Like imagine, think about how awkward it was when the youth pastor's there with his wife and all the kids are there and all of a sudden here's Leonardo drawing him like she draws his French ladies. You know what I'm saying? Like just cutting those awkward moments out of family movie night because Mike, it's not even
That
it's not
leads
even
to
the
great
tough
stories
movies.
though later on in life. Like I'm notorious. When I used to take the older kids to movies and stuff, without fail, somehow a sex scene would always happen without fail.
That's
so
what
it
I'm talking
became like
about.
this internal joke, like, oh man, well, if you're going to be taking me to the movies, then we know it's going to have a sex scene in it, whether you think it is or not, But I get it.
So now
man.
we can have
I-
like Napoleon. I had to wait for it to show up on VidAngel. Once it showed up on VidAngel, we watched it with the kids. I watched it with the kids. We had a great time. So it just takes out those awkward moments where you're like trying to avert their eyes real quick.
all
It's
right.
$10 a month. Not terrible. I'm
Back
not
to games,
sponsored
man.
by them.
Well,
You should be.
probably.
We watch. I mean, I have a 9-year-old, right? But we just watch stuff with him that's appropriate. Like we just finished watching the Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action.
Yeah,
Really,
we have
really
one
good.
episode left. Yeah.
It's really good. We were watching them. We watched some Star Wars stuff. We watched the cartoons because I like that stuff. We're starting to watch the original X-Men, the 1997, the 1994.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going back and watching the old ones, and then the new ones are coming out. So so we're going through those.
Yeah, I own the first 2 seasons of that, so they've watched that with me.
Yeah. It's on Disney Plus. Yeah, so
it's
we're
good
watching
stuff.
that there. Yeah, it's good
Very
stuff.
cool.
So we're doing stuff like that, and then when he goes to bed, I watch other stuff. Actually, while I work during the day, I generally watch the things.
9 o'clock, he's going to bed at a decent hour.
9:30. He goes to bed like 9:30. Yeah. So.
These kids are up all night.
Yeah, he would be if he could. He would try to stay up late. He tries to finagle it all
Mine's
the
at bed
time.
9:30. So yeah.
All of them?
Oh no! Well, I got a 20 and an 18. That's fine. I watch whatever with them. But
Yeah,
the 12-year-old 9:30.
He's my
so, yeah.
9-year-old's asking me like he wants to watch Stranger Things,
Oh,
and I just don't like. I'm like my wife and I'm like nah. There's some scenes in there that are pretty scary. Like we're just like you can wait a couple years, man. It's fine. We can watch other stuff. So we started watching other like scary things, but are more kid appropriate scary things at an age range.
By the time they come out with the second half of the last season, he'll be 20
like
or 30.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be fine. But there's just so much to watch because we have like every streaming service, so it's like you can always find something. But most of the kind of inappropriate stuff for him, I'll just watch while I'm working.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I don't know how you do that.
I do.
Like
It's called
Rob and I both.
3 monitors.
I
You got work on 2 and movie
Well, I
on
do
the
it.
next.
It's like me and my son are watching Vikings, and me and my older son, my 20-year-old, we watch that during the day while the other one's at school. So during my lunch break and my breaks from work, because I work at home, we watch half hour here, half hour there. Me and my daughter and my son, my old 18-year-old and my 20-year-old, are watching The League, which was a show I watched
such a
years ago.
great
I
show.
love that show.
Love that show.
I introduced them to it. We've watched almost the whole thing again, and so we watch it during the day while the 12-year-old's at school, and so me and my wife watch our shows after the 12-year-old goes to bed. So yeah.
I think what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, no, The League is so good.
I love The League.
That's
Yeah.
such a good show.
Good stuff.
All right. We do need to plan to update the board. I know that we wanted to do it at the beginning of each month. I know last week we had our guest, and this week we didn't plan for anything other than barbecue pulled pork nachos and board
gaming.
games
Not so
tonight.
bad. Not so
Well,
bad.
and I think we
I
didn't-
made
we didn't
barbecue
even-
pulled pork nachos.
We didn't even do
Wish
the
you were
first.
here, Mike. Wish you were here.
We didn't even do the first
I wish
board
I
thing
was,
until
too.
like March either. So we just need to get back to it.
Yeah, we got to get back on it. We admit that we had not played as many games as we had
Yeah.
hoped in the last month. At least Wayne and I had.
And March was rough, man. March
Yeah.
was probably it was
I do agree.
tough to get games in because we had
Speak
spring
for
break
yourself.
and Yeah,
He had a con.
he did.
He did get to go
All
to
he
a
wants
con.
to do there. Yeah, that's good stuff.
What was
Tyrants,
nice about
baby.
spring break though is I was off the whole spring break, so I spent all my time learning how to do shorts and is that what they call them?
Shorts are cool, man.
Shorts?
Oh, yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
shorts.
And then I kind of got back into work, and work kicked my butt, and I realized, wow, it's been 2 weeks. I haven't made a single short. Like I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
it's tough, man.
It is.
That's the worst. That's I think the hardest. I think that's what I love about this. Right, is we'll get the podcast going once a month, once every other month, or something like that, every twice a month, whatever it is. But there's no stress here because there's not
Just
there's
live.
and it's we'll talk about stories. The people who do content creating and also have day jobs like where they're doing editing and filming, and that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
I got to give a lot of credit for that. I'd say, like, for years having been on the side of the caller or the side of the guy watching it and just commenting, just even this show, it's a lot of work thinking about it. Like, we're thinking today, we're talking back and forth and trying to figure out articles and what to talk about, just to make sure you have
at the end of the day, that's where the motto came from. And I think the motto was one of the first things that we put down on paper right after the name.
Yeah.
Which was,
I guess we haven't told the story in a while. I mean, we used to tell that story the first couple of years we were doing this. We told it over and over and over again, but we've got a lot of viewers. I mean, we could touch on it.
we were coming back from, I believe it was Dice Tower. It was one of the cons. We were coming back, and I was like, man, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And kind of just started talking about just like a podcast. We spent all that time talking about games after game night. We figured but I didn't want any stress. I didn't want that life. Mike, you've tried it. You've tried that YouTube life.
Oh,
Editing
man.
videos, man. The videos you put for this show, for this YouTube channel, and for your own, the amount of editing involved.
It's a job. It's like a second job, especially if you're, if you're just starting out and you really don't know. I mean, if you're computer literate, editing videos, man, I'm too OCD for it because I got to get all the transitions right and I got to go back and forth and then when you do it, then you got to watch the whole thing to make sure that everything is good. And then it's like a second job. That's why I only have one game on my channel because that one game, I mean, it's two 20-minute, segments. That took me hours upon hours to get right. And then even filming it, you're standing there and then you get a rule wrong up. I got to repeat that again. Then you set the table back up. And I mean, it's,
I think that's where in recent years, the Klingon channel.
Oh, yeah,
Have you-
subtitles.
So, Rado started it, I think.
Oh yeah, the Klingon subtitles.
Yeah, so if you do Klingon, I made a rule, screw it, I'm just going to film, and at the end, I'll subtitle where I screwed up the rules and, point it out. It's tough, man. It's
And you can edit subtitles after the video's up. So as people point out the errors, you can add that in, which is a great feature.
Yeah.
But, no, it's definitely, hard.
It's a full-time job, and I don't want that. And that's where it's about how we game. This is it. This Thursday night this is us just gaming and talking about games.
There's a bit of a talent to it too. I mean, watching something Carlos did tonight. Before we came on tonight, we recorded a little something. We'll talk about it more if it's successful, but we're going to wait and see what happens. But Carlos did some on-the-fly editing, and he's like, "Yep, let's cut it here, put it together. Yep, looks good. That's it." So I mean,
done.
He
Moving on.
edited our 2-minute video in 10 seconds, and I was like, "Holy crap! that actually came out pretty good." But so there's a talent to it. But yeah. Mm.
No, I don't want it to be a full time. Then the joy leaves.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Dan. Dan posted that picture of him putting together that miniature.
Yeah.
And the first thing that drew my eye was the script that he had plastered to the wall,
All over the wall
for his next video that he's gonna do.
It's like, oh no, just prepping for a little video.
It's 7 pages of script that he's going to talk about the rules of how to play red, white, and blue, I believe it was. Racing game that he's told me about for years. The racing game that he likes.
NBO,
yeah.
NBF. Oh man,
NBF, yeah.
Audio is the worst part of trying to edit things, realizing when Windows decided to gain spike halfway through a recording segment is terrible. That's Mike every time he joins us for this show. His gain spike.
Funny.
I like to learn that stuff too. I mean, so Mitchell and I were doing a podcast for a while, and Mitchell just quick edits things, and then Mike and I have done a couple, and this last one that Mike and I did, he edited the video audio. Mike, I don't know how long it took you to do it, but it's something I would like to. Too long, I'm sure. The OCD kicked in. You're like,
well, I was also learning a little bit more on how to get everything. Once you get into a flow, then it starts moving really quick, and if you do it over and over again, sure. But I mean, I can't even remember the last time I edited anything in Audacity. So
yeah.
Oh, Audacity's old too. That is old UI.
Yeah, that's still around, still good, right? Audacity.
No, it
OBS,
works.
yeah.
It's free,
Yeah.
and it works. But it is that older system. So like figuring out how to pull out segments and move them, like I struggle with all
Crazy.
that.
It still gets updates though, because every time I bring up Audacity,
Me too.
new update.
Yeah.
I'll give you a tip, and for those for like No Bribe No Foul and DaVinci Resolve. Like I do all my podcast editing in DaVinci Resolve. Like I've learned it so well for video editing that I just put audio in there, edit the audio, and because you can have so many channels in there, and this Rodecaster, what is it, Rodecaster Pro that I have, it can
separates
record
it all out.
every channel is its own channel, so I can have every microphone, so I can bring people's audio to where it needs to be individually, and just. But ain't nobody got time for that. We got claims to pay.
Yeah. Too many.
claims.
Don't forget, people, you can call in 813-618-7099. Talk about whatever we're talking about. Take over the show. Do your own thing. Whatever.
Kyle, Mr. Jeeves, a.k.a. Mr. Jeeves, Hall of Famer BGG photographer, says DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. He is also in the, cinema movie, film, cinematic. He does cameras and stuff.
Cinematographer.
Yeah. So he's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's big words.
Yeah.
The speaking of BGG, I'll give the plug that the annual BGG award nominations are open.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So if you have Geek Gold, I think it's 25 Geek Gold. So if you've posted photos or whatever, if you have 25 Geek Gold laying around,
Just sitting around, kicking around somewhere.
You want to use, feel free to. You can nominate the Beans and Dice podcast for #1 board game podcast.
Yeah, baby.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah. So if you happen to have Geek Gold, please feel free to throw us a vote. We would appreciate that.
And if you need Geek Gold, we can give you some.
Is that game
I've
of the
got
system?
plenty
Are we supposed to
left
say
over.
that?
Are we allowed to do that?
We're allowed to
Yeah,
say
you
that?
can
Is that a
donate.
thing?
I can take that
Gold.
back.
Yeah.
All right, edit the audio.
I have one Geek Gold. Like,
Roll it back.
Wayne's like, I'm not giving mine up.
I have one.
My
That's it.
precious.
I got one.
My precious.
No, but you can donate. You can gift Geek Gold to people. So yeah, if there are people who have extra that they want to give out to people, feel free. But we'll go from there.
Hey, what were your thoughts on the article I posted up from Japan with Yu-Gi-Oh? So the Yu-Gi-Oh Japanese national tournament updated its rules, saying that from now on, only Japanese nationals are allowed to enter into the Japanese tournament.
In tournaments, yeah.
In the tournaments.
Yeah.
Like before, they would allow anyone to play in Japan, no matter where you came from. You could play. If you happened to win the tournament, you would just have to cede the prize or the award to the first Japanese person of natural Japanese descent would win it. Now they're not even letting anyone outside of natural Japanese, heritage or a naturalized Japanese.
What was their reasoning for that?
Because
Did
they want
say?
the Japanese winner to be that Japanese.
All right. It's their own choice. They can do
I
what
go
they
with
want.
that. Yeah. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found that interesting. Like
It's a different culture there. There are more. I don't want to say
homogenous,
Less
insular
homogenous.
or yeah.
less homogenous.
Yeah, homogenous is putting everybody together.
Yeah.
They're more about
Homogenous.
And I can
Protecting their
see
culture.
people like because Yu-Gi-Oh is a Japanese product and they want to go and win the big tournament there. It could be interesting, and they want to narrow it down to just people from the country. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I think so. Amanda, you asked how people can get Geek Gold. I think we can purchase
Kyle Jeeves.
it.
That's how.
Yeah, Kyle
Mr.
Jeeves.
Jeeves.
He'll donate them to you. Yeah.
There you go.
You get it. You get Geek Gold by posting photos of your games or putting reviews.
Yes.
Putting
Videos.
Videos.
That's where I got mine from.
Yeah. So videos, posting reviews, doing photos of games, you get Geek Gold. So there's a couple other ways. If you buy a micro badge, you get Geek Gold. I think you can just straight up buy Geek Gold. It's not
Probably.
super expensive or anything.
Yeah,
So there's
I think they give you some at the end of every year. Like every year that you've been a member on there, they usually give out a little bit of Geek Gold
or
as well.
I think they used to do that, but now they just give you micro badges,
badges.
4 free badges
Yeah,
every
get the
year, or something like
badges
that.
every
Or
year.
if you pay,
okay.
they give you Geek Gold if you donate to the site, if you
Gotcha.
part of their annual
Yeah, right.
fundraiser. So, but if you go to Amanda the BGG awards thing, there's a whole little paragraph on how you have to have Geek Gold to nominate, not to vote. Once the voting's open, anyone can vote, I think. But to nominate, you have to have Geek Gold, and here's how you get Geek Gold. Or reach out to Mr. Jeeves.
You reach out to me. I got plenty
Carlos,
of things.
Mike,
I'm looking
Carlos,
those
yeah.
up now.
Yeah. I have to check. I haven't ever checked mine. I probably don't have any.
I don't post photos or do videos.
Yeah, I don't really do any of
those
that.
kind of things.
I would link any video we did that was tied to a specific game. I would link that in there, and they would give me a gold for
Nice.
it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
cool.
cool.
That worked out well.
Yep.
Posted up an article in the Discord about AI art. I know that's a hot topic. We're not here to poo-poo it, right? But what was an interesting article for certain reasons, right? Because it talked about a card game developer that said it paid an AI artist $90,000 to generate card art because no one comes close to the quality he delivers, right? So this is a online game, Champions of Otherworldly Magic. It's a digital trading card game. They paid this artist $90,000 to create this art, right? But the artist who received that as a $15,000 per month only put in maybe 2 full work days each month on the project.
Wow.
Like
Fool and his money are soon separated.
Yeah.
Same thing for that company.
But the company is ecstatic because the cost to create that many cards of art, they said, would have been a lot more
As long as they're happy
than
with what they're
$90,000.
getting. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
So it seems like people are finding ways to use AI, and I think in positive ways. There was an episode of the Board Game Insider podcast with Stephen Bonacore, Ignacy Trevicek, and Corey.
Nice guy?
Very nice guy.
No.
Corey from Above
Board.
They talked about different positive uses of AI, and I think this is one of them. This is an AI system where they're using AI that has art that was paid for to feed the system. So like they paid for the rights to this art, and then they use that as the basis to begin the artwork for each card. So they talk about how this artist, there's never extra fingers, there's never some floating head. Like this artist starts with AI, but then creates a final product. But man, the guy hit the jackpot. 15 grand a month for 2 days of work.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, and I think Jamie Stegmaier even said that some of his art initially starts out as AI art, but then he pays artists to actually clean it up. Like, I think he uses that as a base, but then the artists actually come in and he pays the artist to clean things up. And, so the artists are technically getting their money. I think it's Jamie, don't quote me on that, but I know somebody in the board game industry like openly stated, we initially start out with AI, but then we pay actual artists to come in and
I think for
clean
like
it up.
prototyping too, like if you're prototyping a game or you're trying to show a game off, just throwing some. There's a use for that stuff, but it's just how it gets used.
Yeah. Somebody got busted in the board game industry that said that they weren't using AI art, like
A
just
couple of-
recently.
I think Wizards was one of them, right?
Well, Magic the Gathering just had an issue with some artist stealing art from other actual artists. So not even like using AI, but like kind of tracing pieces of like a tiger
taking the
or
background.
something into their art, into the new Magic the Gathering card. So Wizards of the Coast is looking into that. But the comment that I heard on that one was, why even risk copying somebody's real art when you can just start with AI art?
Yeah.
Like you can just say, hey, AI, give me a wizard riding a tiger, and then use that as your basis for your art to kind of draw from, to kind of get the juices flowing.
Yeah. I like the. I don't know if we talked about this because it came out a week or two ago, but Czech Game Edition buying its own board game factory.
Oh yes,
that's pretty cool. Vertical integration there, right? So I guess I heard some more today. I was reading some stuff. So they determined that 70% of this factory's games that it produced were CGE games.
We're already, because CGE had used this factory from the beginning.
Right, from the beginning. So like CGE.
So they were already 70% of their.
That factory's capacity was already CGE games. And like the other 30% was another company in Germany. So it's like this basically two companies, CGE, and I forget the other one, not Eggers, one of the German companies, whereas like 90% of this factory's capability was already, so they like, CGE is the primary owner, but this other company is in on it as well. So they're like, screw it, just buy our own thing, because then that lets them innovate more. I get they were talking about when they go to this factory or they go to Pando or they go to whatever, and they would say, we want to do this funky thing in a board game. And then they go, well, we really can't do that. Right. Or we can give you this.
It's not
instead.
worth our effort.
It's not worth our effort. But now it's our factory. You can do it. And they did that game last year with like the Rewood.
Yes.
Which was like the 3D printed wood recycled thing. So that'll be more popular because they can push that out, and if they expand the factory, they can then lease part of it out to other companies to use. So I thought that was interesting because when we talk about like Asmodee going around and just buying up everybody, that's like the Carnegie method, right? Just buy up everybody, right? But this is just. It was a smart decision. It's like, well, we're
logical integration,
yeah. All the money we're given, almost all of our games are made at this one factory, and it's like 70% of this factory's overall volume. We should just buy the factory. Like, it just makes sense, right? It's definitely going to make So I thought that was pretty interesting. And we've seen it. I think there's one or two board game factories like that opened up in America in the last couple of years that companies are starting to use. So I think you're going to see some. What you're seeing is manufacturing in China is starting to evaporate slowly. You're seeing a more. I was just reading
the risk. The risk has really increased.
Yeah, there would. I forget whether it was a Wall Street Journal, New York Times, a couple of weeks ago mentioned that just recently in the last 6 months, actually, made in China is not the most popular stamp on goods brought into the United States. It was number 2. Made in Mexico overtook it.
Wow.
Temporarily.
Oh, wow.
Now, that a little back and forth, but the gap between made in China and then the rest of the world is shrinking because the cost of manufacturing in China has gone up so much. The shipping.
Let's say shipping.
That's what I'm saying. That's the risk.
Yeah, well, the shipping, then there's the piracy in the Horn of Africa, as well as now the Somali area, and then now the west coast of Africa, there's a hotspot too for pirating and things like that. So just shipping the things around the world, we're going to get back to some manufacturing at a more, not local level, but at a regional level. Like Canada, Mexico can produce things and ship it into America a whole lot faster and easier than, so that if the cost of transportation makes up for that cheaper labor in China, but labor in China is going up, their population is not as big as it was, and it's not as expanding as quickly. So it's interesting. But so I can see that. I can see, regional printers. If your company's based in the Czech Republic, buying a factory right there makes sense. So I thought it was cool.
I know Ignacy talked about it on the BGI podcast, the Board Games Insider podcast. He talked about how it's easier for him to get stuff from China because he gets it railed in.
Yeah.
Right. So he, being in Poland, they can. They can rail that stuff in faster than they can get it across the world does.
It goes across the Trans-Siberian Railroad that goes from all the way from Eastern Europe all the way to China.
Wow.
But the problem is it kind of ends in Eastern Europe.
Right.
The issue is it's supposedly once you hit like Poland, Eastern Europe, the rail size changes. And I don't know if it has something to do with NATO to prevent transportation of stuff across, from the Soviet Union, what used to be the Soviet Union, into Western Europe, like the rail changes, and making that kind of a change is too difficult to transport goods. But he did talk about where he's at in Poland. He's able to get stuff shipped to him a lot easier through the rail system than he would be able to get us stuff. So he gets it a lot quicker.
Yep.
So it's the world has shrunk, I think, globally, but with the world wars issues that are going on, the conflicts that are interrupting shipping lanes, you're seeing like you're saying, people taking control back of their manufacturing pipeline.
Yep.
Cool.
So one day we'll be a part of that. Right? Let's sell everything and let's buy a factory, make more games.
There we go. I like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we haven't had a call in a little while, so at this point, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. We'll plan for more fun next week. We're gonna go finish off some barbecue pork nachos.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
Heck yeah.
Anything for the folks at home before we head out, Mike?
No. When are we planning? Are we planning on doing like a top 20 refresh? I haven't even set mine up for the year. So
yeah. So we touched on that briefly, but
Next week?
Yeah, next week.
Maybe next week.
Let's commit to next week having our March games played added to the board.
I'll be quick. I probably got 2. I think I had 3 or 4.
I had a few.
I had 3 or 4.
I had a handful.
And Mike's got his whole top 90, top 20 going on there.
Reveal his whole top 20.
I'll tell you, one is rising up to the top of that list.
All the way to the top.
Yours, right? Yeah.
Oh man,
So,
I'm jonesing to
Pablo
play it
saying
again.
X-Men
man.
'97. Yeah, I haven't started watching X-Men '97. We're watching the original ones, the original X-Men with my kid. So we're up there. So.
All right, Chris, we will catch you next week. Pablo, thanks for all the comments in the chat. Chester, always here. You guys are always popping in the chats. We appreciate you. Connor, thank you for your phone call, for popping in and giving us an update on Louisiana. All you folks at home, be safe. We thank you for being a bean, being a part of our show. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
I'm Mike.
We are the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about
How we
How we
game?
game.
Thanks for watching the Beans and
Carlos
Dice
got distracted.
podcast.
Picked it up
I
there.
had to go
It trailed
find
off, so I
buttons.
jumped in
It
there.
took me
he's
away
pushing
from
buttons
mine.
over there. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.